Day 3 saw a move across the Pennines into Yorkshire and a stage stretching 180 kilometres or 112 miles from Bradford to Sheffield. The focus for the day, 3 tough climbs which would separate the men from the boys. A tough day to defend the yellow jersey. Here's how the South Australia team set about the task.
I think we just have to tackle this thing. It's going to be a pretty hard day, but just to make sure Gossie is there for those last climbs. That's where the race is going to really come down to it. I think those last climbs before the last 20-30k before the finish. Apart from those 3 guys on your time, they've got to put 3 minutes into you. So it's no big panic. Just make sure that you're there with those, ready to go with those moves over those last climbs, and finish as best we can finish tomorrow. We'll take things day by day. We're in front. We'll just try and hold that jersey for as long as we can. It's big job, but I mean, they've got to take it off us.
Yorkshire is right to be proud of Bradford, twinned as it is with Roubaix, home of the dreaded pavé of the Paris-Roubaix, the queen of the classics. Well, today's stage is the longest. It's 111 miles, and the riders are waved away. It's not only the longest, but it's going to be the hardest. There are 3 wicked climbs to negotiate, and there are lots of climbs that aren't even classified. So this stage, sponsored by Yorkshire Forward and Yorkshire Culture, could be the day of selection.
I think it will be the key day in this day's race, because yes, there are 3 categorised climbs, but there's 5 nasty ones, and most importantly, Millstone Edge comes very, very close to the finish. When you put the weather on top of that, I think we're going to have a very exciting day, Hugh.
So vigilance is going to be the order of the day on some of the tricky, greasy descents, but we're approaching the first sprint in Harrogate, and this is a pretty important sprint. Pedersen's having a go here. If he could pick up valuable time, he's going to be the leader on the road. He's got 3 seconds there, and there was no sign at all of Goss, so Pedersen gets the 3 seconds. Roberts, his teammate, 2, and last year's winner Noyens got the 1. So that now means that Pedersen is the leader on the road, and the yellow jersey has gone back to the car here. Now, what is happening here, Chris?
Well, it just looks like he's picking up some drinks while the race is relatively calm. Very unusual, though. The yellow jersey doesn't normally come to the back, because that means they could get caught out.
For ages, like 3-4 minutes.
Sounds very much like the race already beginning to split apart, and again, that's another reason why the yellow jersey just shouldn't be at the back.
And it has split, because we've got a break going away here. Looks to be about 11 riders in this group. And the yellow jersey right at the back, well, I'm mystified by that. This is the chasing group, and the yellow jersey is near the head of the peloton. He needs to get the pace whipped up here, and it's Tom Boonen, the world champion himself, that's injecting pace. Roger Hamid, here he is, he's in the front group. He's read the move well. He started the day 2 minutes and 44 seconds back in 4th position. Now then, this could be a good day for Hamid if they can continue.
Well, it looks to me like there's been some serious team talks back in the hotel, and we've seen changes in tactics. CSC really worked hard to get that bonus sprint. They've got a man in the breakaway, so they're really 2 men in the breakaway, in fact, so they're really back in the hunt. Tom Boonen's obviously decided he's going to lay it down for his teammates. They haven't got anybody in there, but just look at how hard he's working. For him, he's going to have to make sure that he does everything for his team, because I think this is going to be his big effort of the day.
1 minute and 33 seconds. Now, the yellow jersey in this group is surely going to become concerned. This is Jonathan Clark, one of the young teammates of Goss, the yellow jersey. Just picking up bottles. This is exactly what they do, and they work, but that's the gap. So hard work by the chasers, and particularly the Unibet team, because Luis Pasamontes, the man that started the stage second at 8 seconds, he's in this group, so they are pulling the leaders back. Unibet working hard. Change at the back here, puncture for Chop of the Phonak team. He'll soon be back into the convoy and back with the leaders, but the yellow jersey here looks laboured to me.
Well, you're right, he certainly doesn't look happy. That looks like a very serious problem with that right leg.
I can't run on my knee. Come on, Gossie. It's not my legs, it's my knee.
Well, there's Mark Cavendish just going through on the inside, and this Australian yellow jersey that really has been the revelation of the first 2 days is in a lot of trouble.
Do you want to see the doctor, Gossie?
Well, team manager calling for the doctor. I think he's really in trouble there. It isn't something you can ride through. If you're injured, but it's a hard decision to make.
Gossie, should I get the doctor?
I think this is one of those ones everybody wants to make, or somebody else to make the call, because it is a tough one, and I don't think we're going to be seeing too much of him, Hugh.
No, I think he's going to retire as we get to the summit of Broome Head. This is the second tough climb of the day. Chillingi on the left, former winner of the Tour of Belgium, and it's Andy Schleck of the CSC team, the Luxembourger, that collects more valuable points. So he's having a good day in the mountains today, Schleck. Van Landershoot was second there, and Nick Noyens third.
Well, they're just having a bit of a regroup there. These nasty, slippery roads, they're probably very glad there's only 20-odd riders left at the front of the Thurs. Back to the yellow jersey. He's still not happy, but sometime they've got to make a call. He's clearly not in the race. I don't think there's anything he can do here, Hugh.
No, I think you're right. Now, this is one of the greasy descents as they're nearing Strines Moor, the final climb in the King of the Mountains, and the right-hander's causing all sorts of trouble. Oh, look at this. Oh, that was Downing, who is in the green jersey as the overall points leader. He's a local rider.
Some people pushing it very hard on these descents. And I have to say, Hugh, that the warning flag there really needs to be before that bend, not right in the middle of it, because you already know you've got problems by the time you get there.
Well, it's curtains, isn't it, for the yellow jersey? And look at this. Tom Boonen, the world champion, he's been down. He's off the back here now, and he's limping on in the stage, but clearly unhappy.
Well, he looks okay, but I don't think he's going to take any more chances today. He set his teammates up. He knows he's got that world champion's jersey to defend in just a few weeks' time, so he can't take any chances.
I always get a little niggle, but it's never this bad.
You want to stop?
Got to make a decision soon.
No, I think we might have to, mate. Stuffing it up.
Horrible decision to pack in the yellow jersey. I know, I've done it myself. It's an awful decision to make. And that's the end of it. That's it.
He's climbing off, so Goss, the yellow jersey, has got off. Pedersen, the Dane, is the leader. There's a group here now of about 25 heading on to the closing stages. They've got Strines Moor to negotiate the final climb in the King of the Mountains competition.
Incredibly hard conditions today, and it really is difficult for these riders.
It is the worst moment for any cyclist to abandon in a stage race, and particularly when you've got the yellow jersey. But I think we're going to hear a lot more about this young man.
I think so. He's a very strong rider. He'll get over the disappointment today. You can see it clearly in his face there, and we'll probably see him back here next year, Hugh.
Martin Pedersen in the T-Mobile Sprint jersey on the right here. Well, he's ridden well so far. He won in Castle Douglas, and he's got his climbing legs today. His CSC teammates are all around him, giving him support. The result of the Strines Moor climb, Pedersen over the top first, gets the 6 points.
Well, among those waiting for the finish here at Sheffield is the local MP, but also, of course, the Minister for Sport, Richard Cabourn. And Richard, I know there's not much you can do about the Yorkshire weather.
No,
a
unfortunately
little bit
not.
damp here today, but looking forward to seeing the cyclists come in today.
Oh, very much so, and I think this is going to be, what they tell me anyway, this is going to be one of the toughest legs. It's going to sort the men out from the boys, as it were. But overall, it's been a fantastic event, third year. And now I think it really has an effect. A lot of young people, we see today, many of our youngsters now who are actually taking up cycling. They see the big heroes here, and really it is an impetus to get more young people cycling.
Well, just look at the conditions now. It is really beginning to throw it down, and we're inside the concluding 10 miles. This is a little bit of false flat here. It's not categorised as a climb, but still it's very, very wearing indeed. This is the Unibet team looking after Louis Pasamontes. A little gap just beginning to develop there, so they've got to get Pasamontes back up to those riders who are starting to go clear.
Well, a tremendous riding they've done today in these conditions. It really has, as the Sports Minister said, sorted the men out from the boys, who's come here with real motivation, because you need that to get through this. We're getting towards the end of a long season, and it is really tough for these guys.
Well, 6 riders are starting to go away, and that was the final sprint at Millstone Edge. The sprint going to Michael Rogers, the man more famed for time trialling, who took the 5 points and the 3-second bonus ahead of Passato. So 6 riders knitting together nicely now. Noyens, last year's winner, Rogers, Chop, Pedersen, Schleck and Passato. And Passato just starting to go clear now.
Well, Pizzato has made a move there, and everybody, I think, no one wants to go with it. I think that could be a race-winning move. If they just hesitate a little bit longer, then he'll have enough of a gap to see him all the way down to the finish. I think this was a smashing move to make. Boonen will be pleased. He laid his race down earlier on. We saw the work he did to make sure that he had men up the front. Now it's payback time.
He's a talented bike rider, this fella. Won the Milan San Remo earlier in the year, and Italy actually clinched the stage in Pinston Street in Sheffield 12 months ago when Luca Paolini crossed the line first. So it seems to be an Italian tradition trying to win this hard stage.
Yeah, the riders will go after him, and just look at these bends. It is frightening the way that they're coming down here, probably well over 30 miles an hour. Michael Rogers had a little dig there. I think he'll be getting ready for the World Time Trial Championships in just a few weeks' time. But all you need is just enough space to yo-yo, and I think he's got that. So there's an attack, it closes the distance, and then they hesitate and you get a little bit more back. And I think he has that gap now. He has enough space, so those attacks won't quite reach him.
It's a good lead, isn't it? So he's going well. Pizzato riding on the tops there, just looking for a little more pace. But one man who's clearly suffering is Roger Hamid. He started the day fourth, and when we saw him in the earlier break, I thought he was going to move up from fourth, but now he's starting to slip back, and the chase is on by the riders who are trying to claw their way into contention. The field is totally fragmented here now. We're looking at the British rider Ian Stannard, and he's a man with a big future ahead of him as we go back to the group that are really a spent force now.
Well, it's just diminished. We don't have a peloton anymore. We have groups spaced out all over the road. Of course, this Paramontes is in this second group. He's got his teammates there, but he's been caught out, and I think he's going to lose any chance of winning the overall today.
Pizzato 40 seconds now ahead of that group that he's left. But you are right, Chris, there's work to do for Pasamontes, because he's been given the slip by Pedersen in the CSC team. So Pedersen is gaining time on him, and that's happening behind this group. The Unibet squad trying to get back into contention. Noyen's just at the back of the leading six, but Pizzato now coming up to the line here in Pinston Street, and he's going to put his arms in the air for the victory salute, and he wins stage 3 in Sheffield.
Fantastic ride by him, very, very well timed. He knew that these conditions would work for him once he'd made that gap, because it's so hard to organise a chase behind.
He's the sprint for second, and it's the time trial specialist Michael Rogers who throws caution to the wind on the greasy left-hander. Rogers gets second, and Nick Noyens, the winner of the title last year, is third. But Pedersen is in that group in the same time, so that means he's gained a lot of time over Pasamontes, who still hasn't come in. Look at this. Oh, the slippy conditions, riders skating all over the place.
Almost at walking speed, these greasy roads. We can see the riders literally laughing. They're going around so slow, but they're still slipping with so many riders then.
And there is the world champion Boonen coming in 20 minutes back.
Filippo Pizzato seizing the initiative to win stage 3, 32 seconds ahead of world time trial champion Michael Rogers and last year's overall winner Nick Noyens. Yorkshire-born Russell Downing again in the mix, finishing in 8th place, the first British rider across the line. Further down, Luis Pasamontes was 17th, Roger Hamid 20th to finish, Tom Boonen back in 36th place, and Baden Cook and Matt Goss were 2 of 11 riders who failed to finish the stage. The Italian Filippo Pizzato then wins the Yorkshire stage of the Tour, the first stage win for the Quick Step team.
Ho provato a partire gli ultimi chilometri perché sentivo che stavo bene e la squadra ha fatto tanto per me oggi, anche Boonen ha fatto un grande lavoro per me, quindi era giusto provare a vincere alla grande e è riuscito tutto quanto. Per oggi è andato tutto bene, anche un po' di fortuna, però è importante aver vinto.
Russell Downing received a great welcome from his Sheffield crowd. He's back on the podium to receive the Green Points jersey. He now leads that competition by 4 points. So here's what today's results meant for the general classification. Martin Pedersen, the leader on day 1, back on top. Pasamontes in second, 51 seconds behind. And then comes Pizzato, Michael Rogers and Nick Noyens. Roger Hamid slips to 20th. Martin Pedersen then, in his first year with the CSC team, retakes the yellow jersey, presented by Terry Hodgkinson, chairman of Yorkshire Forward.